YouTube. I know we got taken down on YouTube, but let me see. Stop sharing that. There we go. So we just watched episode 3 of X-Men 97. I thought that was a really, really cool episode. Um, you know, it was true that the one that gave birth was Madeline Pryor. She was the clone made by Mr. Sinister. He was trying to get them to have a child so that he can turn that child into a weapon of his own. He was trying to make him invincible at that. Later we find out that the only way that they can save him is if Bishop takes him to the future to somebody that he knows to help save his life. And this would coincide with the idea that, oh yeah, so now this is how Cable becomes someone of the future, and then would later come back. So I thought that was really cool. What did you think of the episode?
I mean, so as we talked about in the pre-show, so to speak,
Mm-hmm.
we were curious where is it going to pick up from the episode 2, which I think you hit it right. She was in like the little medical room on the
Yeah.
table, so I'm glad it picked up right from pretty much. They brought her to her house, took her to the medical bay, right? So I'm glad it picked up pretty much right where episode 2 left off. Sinister, glad to see him, and we're seeing him early
Yeah.
in episode 3 already of 10 episodes. So they're already setting the tone
Mm-hmm.
for the next 7 episodes. Definitely some darkness in that one. Wasn't expecting as much darkness, but glad to see it. Glad to see it early, and glad to see that much of it.
Yeah. No.
And confirm Madeline Pryor, right?
Yeah.
That was that. Now we have that confirmation that's who it was, right?
And
I
that
think
makes
Scott
sense.
Summers, though, when
Yeah.
him walking out kind of angry and broken at the same time, not wanting to be part, it'll be interesting to see how that character now plays out in the next couple of episodes. Now that his child is no longer there and he wanted no part of it, how will he now either fall from grace, right? So yeah, I thought it was a great episode though. Nice pickup from the episode 2.
Yeah, no, and there was a lot to unpack with the episode. Yeah, how
Yeah.
is he going to handle this? Because now he's lost his child. Now even when Jean Grey came back into the bedroom with him, they just kind of looked at each other. It was just
Yeah.
like, I don't know if I know you or not. But I mean, he does know her, but so much has happened now that it's like, where do you go from here? And I thought that was a really powerful scene. The fight between the X-Men and what you call the Goblin Queen.
Goblin Queen, yep.
That was pretty fucking epic.
Yep.
That was the animation on that was like just off the charts. Better than anything I've seen Marvel animation do ever. I thought,
and the part where we kind of saw we saw it in the first 10 minutes of episode 1 where Cyclops kind of charged up Wolverine's claws. He kind of did a similar thing for Bishop. I thought that was pretty cool too. Just to see
Gambit
him.
charged up his claws, but yes.
Gambit. Sorry, but we kind of saw that same concept. Sorry, you were right. Gambit
and that was cool, and he was able to use his ability in that way, and I thought that was awesome. I wish What If looked this good. I think What If should take some notes and be like, yeah, I think we should all look like this. You know what I mean? With What If, I mean, like I said, I think What If is a cool show, but I don't like the shiny cheeks and the shiny foreheads they have. It's kind of like I like how they got rid of that look. And this one gives me the feel that I'm watching a live action comic book with X-Men 97. Like that's how it feels like I'm watching a live action comic. And when the real Jean Grey, when she came back and then went up against the Goblin Queen, the effects that they use and the way they're fighting each other was so incredibly cool. I loved every minute of it. I was blown away. I was like, dude, this is insane what they're doing right now. And that's the difference between animation and live action, is that with animation you can do some pretty crazy effects and get away with it. While in live action, I don't know if you can do that, but it looks so good. I loved it.
Yeah, I don't think that whole that battle sequence would really play out too well live action. I think the CGI would, there'd be so much of it it would just stand out just too much. And you would be able to tell, yeah, this is just so CGI'd up. You lose interest, and you're like, okay, let's end this because it just looks that bad. But to your
Yeah.
point, and with animation, I mean, sky's the limit, right? You can do anything really you want.
Exactly. Guys, we have 82 watching right now, 75 watching over on X. Guys, if you haven't done so yet, make sure you smash the like button and subscribe to the channel or follow me over on X. We're going to be doing a watch party every week for X-Men 97. And this is episode 3 of a 10-episode season. So we still have 7 more episodes to go. I'm really excited to see where this series is going to go. And so far, I've loved all 3 episodes. All 3 episodes have been really good, really well done, well sculpted as well. I thought the dialogue in all 3 episodes has been really, really good. It seems like they made these episodes with a lot of care and detail being put into it. I'm really, really digging what they're doing with X-Men 97, and this is like they couldn't have done a better job with this so far. And I'm so happy with the job that they've done. And at the end, she says, "You can call me Madeline Pryor." I mean, she takes on the name of Madeline Pryor, and then she's gone. So we'll eventually see her again somewhere down the line, but she's off to go do her own thing, which is pretty crazy to think about. But and we know that Xavier is still alive. He's with Lalandra over with the Shi'ar Empire. They're keeping him alive, so I would imagine eventually he's going to come back. And I still think that this is not the last that we've seen of Mr. Sinister. I think he's going to make a return sometime later on in the series because, I mean, he already has ties to Morph. He has ties to, Cyclops and Jean Grey. So I think he's definitely going to make an appearance later in the season. But now it seems like Sinister has kind of took off, right? So now where do we go? Now who is there a big bad? Is there a big villain that the show is going to focus on? Or is it going to just focus on what's happening with the X-Men moving forward from here?
Well, I want to know what's going to happen with Magneto. He got his ass kicked.
He did.
Now, what do you do now with that character? Now does he become jaded? Now does he start to turn back to the villainous Magneto, right? And I mean, if he's part of going after Sinister in the future episodes, if that's how this plays out, or to your point, does he go down a downward spiral, and then we happen to see Xavier pop up and be like, "Yep, take him back over. You couldn't handle it. I left it in your hands, and you've destroyed everything." Right? Yeah. So for me, for going into the next episode, maybe the next 2 episodes, I want to see what happens with him and Scott. Both of them definitely had some troubles in that episode.
And really, what I think is pretty cool is that this has been a very Cyclops centric
Story.
series so far.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously, I think going into this, I would have thought that they would have made this more of like a Wolverine centric, kind of what they've done in the live action. But I'm glad to see them focusing on another character like Cyclops because there's so much more to his character that that's never been explored in any kind of animation or live action. So I like seeing more focus on Cyclops and Jean Grey as well. But now that their son Nathan is in the future with Bishop, I think we're definitely going to see where he goes to get him treatment. I would have thought he was going to go see Forge, who was obviously his the guy he met in the future when they did the Days of Future Past episode in the original series. So it's gonna be interesting to see where he goes with that and how that's gonna play out.
Well, now that we've only seen Storm for the last 2 minutes of this, I'm wondering, now that we saw her walk, kind of walk her own path, Madeline Pryor's now walked away. Do they end up connecting somewhere down the line together?
Yeah,
and kind of reuniting back with the rest of the group in some way? I think that would be an interesting spin or take on the story.
Yeah, no, I think so. I mean, Forge is definitely going to do what he can to get her powers back. I thought it would be Sinister was going to basically meet up with her and kind of, convince her that she needs to go with him, kind of manipulate her. But it looks like Forge is going to be the one that is going to help her get her powers back. But I mean, it might come back next episode, but I feel like that's going to be something that they're kind of
Definitely down the line.
build
Yeah.
towards. Yeah.
Yeah.
But now it's kind of again, the show is left on yet another cliffhanger of where do we go from here? Now, what do the X-Men do? Um, was the episode any good? Actually, you didn't even watch it. It was
Well, the
great.
question now is, I mean, if we think about how the episode 2 ended, we see this alternate at the time. We weren't confirmed Madeline Pryor, but Jean Grey, and that's obviously what this episode focused on. Is it possible now? The cliffhanger here was with Storm. Is the next
Mhm.
episode possibly going to focus on that part of the story
It might.
of
I
Storm,
think it
right?
will. I think it will.
Where they kind of dabble in the rest of the group, but this is now we're gonna have an episode on the next few steps for Storm and how she, regains her powers back. That could be a possibility where we see just an episode about her.
Yeah, I agree. This could be coming up. This could be a very Storm-centric episode where, yeah, you kind of see where the X-Men are at, but then it focuses more on what she's going to do with Forge in order to get her powers back. Guys, we have 89 people watching, and we have 89 watching, 83 of them on X. If you haven't done so yet, please subscribe to the channel and smash the like button. Leave a positive comment if you want, or a comment in general. And don't forget to follow me on X as well, as we're going to be doing this every week. At least I know I am, and I hope Sean can join me every week as well.
I'll
And
be
we're
here.
watching X-Men 97. Episode 4 will be next week. But again, it's just... Oh, and also, guys, if you follow me on X, then you will also get more content from my other two channels, which is Dre Area Sports and also Beyond the Unknown. I'll be streaming all broadcasts on the same X stream or the streaming it on X along with YouTube as well. But I mean, overall, though, this was I thought it was a fantastic episode. I loved the psychological battle they were having, where essentially like they were in the same room together, but
Yeah.
but they were meant to, they were seeing themselves fall into the depths of hell with all these creatures flying around. It was nuts.
Yeah.
And
It definitely didn't feel like we didn't take a step back from episode 2. Like it didn't. Oh man, episode 2 was so great, and then 3 was a kind of a letdown. I don't feel it was a letdown.
No,
I
not
think
at
it was
all. This
definitely a
was...
great progression of the story, and it definitely, again, it moved up the ladder, so to speak, from episode 2 to 3. Definitely didn't dip down in quality. It didn't dip down in the story. It definitely kept its rise to what it's trying to achieve. So I was glad that didn't happen, because in some TV series you see that, you have 2 or 3 good episodes, and then
you have a shitty one.
you
Where
have
it's kind of
just the, like,
boring.
exactly, where there's just nothing going on. It's like, why is this episode even here? Let's end it now. I didn't have that feeling at all when I was watching it. Definitely you wanted to know, okay, what's going to happen next? What's going to be the next move? So
Well, and I think that for me at least, I think the more likely route I thought the show was going to take, where they were going to spend more, there was going to be more disposition about like who she is and where does she come from and what do we do next, and it's kind of building up in the episode. But no, this episode jumped right into it.
yep.
Morph was like, I know where he's at, and they went right after him. And they pretty much wrapped up that whole Madeline Pryor story in one episode, which I thought it was going to be something that they were going to carry on for at least a few more episodes. But no, they went right after it, and they essentially wrapped it up. She's off on her own, but I still believe that Sinister is going to come back, and he's probably going to use Madeline Pryor, try and capture her again to use her mental abilities, because I mean, she's essentially she's a clone of Jean Grey, so she has the same type of telepathic abilities that Jean Grey has. So he's definitely going to want to try to utilize that again. If not him, maybe somebody else. But I was surprised that they kind of wrapped up the whole Madeline Pryor story in this episode, because I thought she was going to stick around for a lot longer, and there'd be more of a confusion about, who's who, and how long had they been a clone for, and all of that. But yeah, no, and Phil, I agree. I was shocked they went full Goblin Queen. But the thing I liked about that was that they fucking just went for it. They were like, you know what? There's going to be a bunch of viewers who are going to be like, who the fuck's the Goblin Queen? No. And I think in the past that would have deterred them from going that route. They were just like, I don't give a fuck. We're going right after this. And they just went full on. And it just reminded me, like I said, it felt like I was watching a live action comic, and I really, really appreciated that and enjoyed that about the episode.
And the story they told in this episode, it didn't feel rushed either. It didn't feel like they were
No.
trying what they wanted to achieve, they achieved. But I don't, to your point, I don't think we've seen the last of Madeline Pryor. I don't think that we've seen the last of Sinister. I think we will see those. We may not see them in the next 2 or 3 episodes, but I definitely think we'll see them by the time we get to maybe 9 and 10. I think we'll see them start to come back again and to finish out the season. At least I hope we do. I hope we get to see them
Yeah.
again. I hope this wasn't just a quick, to your point, a one and done episode, and now we just move on to another story. It was to me a pivotal part early on in the season to bring them in, and I hope we see them again before the season's over.
Absolutely. I definitely think that we're going to see them again. For her to just kind of go off and be like, yeah, I'm going to go do this. I think that, they're definitely going to bring her back and bring back Sinister again. I think the story in general, and this is just a guess. I would guess that the story is going to kind of circle back to these characters again, but like to see characters that were created by Chris Claremont on this animated series, it was just such a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
And I just God, I just really enjoyed it, and I love the intensity of the episode as well, like how they were intensely fighting each other with their telepathic abilities. I just thought it was so good, and the fact that the X-Men were you know they were just having all these hallucinations and fighting all these enemies that didn't even really exist, and all of a sudden, like when all that stops, they're in the same room with each other. It's like, whoa, like all of that was all in their heads. That's just so
Well, if you
crazy.
saw it, it was really brief when she was questioning, when the genes were questioning each other. Do you even know who you are? There were those mirrors, and if you looked closely, the pictures in those of the X-Men were from the original TV series.
Well, not only the TV series, but like some of them were from actual comic book covers as
Comics,
well, which
correct.
I was
So
like, dude, that's
I thought it was really
badass.
a nice callback. It wasn't a big
Yeah,
callback. It was just gracefully put in there as a nice little
it was
touch.
done right. It was just
Yeah,
like, man,
yeah.
who are like they did such a good job. And so again, this worries me that the creator of the show has been fired, because I'm like, man, I really hope that they can just keep this going because it's going so well. Phil writes, I wouldn't be shocked to see Mr. Sinister as the villain for the inevitable Marvel Studios X-Men movie. Now I know that Phil hates any kind of scooper whatsoever, but I know that there has been reports out there that Sinister may in fact be the villain of the in the X-Men live action movies, but it could also have been that they got word that Sinister was going to be a villain early on in the show, so who knows. But and I mean that's even if the show connects to the live action movies, which I don't think it will, but you never know. They're going to do something with this show, with the amount of the popularity that this show has already garnered. I think that they're definitely going to do something to kind of make this connect to something or make this be relevant to something, because it's such a cool show. And if this is just a standalone show that doesn't connect to anything in the MCU, I think they're really missing something really awesome here.
Well, I would like to see this first season, and maybe we'll see, is where the X-Men don't win. Where if Sinister, it turns out to be the primary main villain throughout the whole season, somehow he comes out on top, and the
Mhm.
X-Men are broken. And whether that leads into a second season or even a live action where we pick up from there with live action versions of these characters, where now the X-Men have to figure out how they can get back on top, right? Because
Mhm.
you don't see that very often, where the good guys completely lose or are completely destroyed by the villain at the end of a movie or a season, especially a show like this. So I would think that'd be a nice little twist to end it with a big cliffhanger. They're defeated, just totally dismantled by Sinister, and now they have to figure out how they're going to recoup.
Yeah, I mean that could easily be the case as the show moves forward, because I know like one of the twists was that Sinister had originally tried to he was planning to have her parents killed off and then have her taken to the orphanage that Scott Summers was also at, because he was abandoned as well,
Hmm.
and so that's how he was going to try to get them together to do this. But Xavier showed up at her house and basically adopted her, and
Yep.
took her to his school. So it, it the fact that they dove so deep into the X-Men lore in just 3 episodes, I know obviously it's not an exact replica of what we got in the comics, but the way they handled it, I thought it was pretty fucking cool the way they did it.
It's closer than what many other animated shows have been able to do
Yeah,
with characters.
absolutely.
So
And again, I think that you can do that when it comes to animation. You can kind of run through these episodes and really tell these stories in this kind of way because it's animation.
yeah,
I mean, if you notice, I mean, like Wolverine, his biggest role so far has been uh when he took Jean Grey to the hospital, and then when Jean woke up and he was able to kind of help her remember who she was and remember that she's an X-Men and who Wolverine was. So he's played a fairly pivotal part in the storyline. However, he hasn't been the main centric character when it comes to
yeah,
really anything else. And I like that because I mean already we've seen in the live action movies, it's all about Wolverine
yep,
in the live action movies. And when it's not about Wolverine, like in X-Men Dark Phoenix, I think it kind of suffered a little bit because you didn't have that Wolverine there in the movie. And then even X-Men Apocalypse, you only got the cameo of Wolverine and Weapon X. You didn't get him as a part of the team. And that was tough too because I kind of felt like even when you saw Hugh Jackman's Wolverine in Weapon X during X-Men Apocalypse, it just felt like he was much older than everybody else. It was like, okay, that's an adult and these are kids.
yeah.
It's like I don't know. It just kind of seemed like he's way too old, and I don't see how they're ever gonna get old enough to be next to him where it feels like it's normal. But still,
Especially at that point for the character of being Weapon X. But yeah, he's definitely playing in the first 3 episodes, definitely more of like a supporting role within the team. Again, as we mentioned earlier, it seems like obviously Scott and Jean are going to be the primary focus of this season. Or at least their characters are.
yeah, at least early
Um,
on it has been.
it definitely has been early on. So that's why I think we're going to see, if the next episode isn't focused on Storm, I think I'm hoping we eventually see how they're going to pick Scott up off the floor, so to speak, because he
Mhm.
seems very broken at this point. He feels like he's failed as the team leader. Now he feels probably he's failed as a husband and a father. I mean, you're really breaking this character down.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
how are you gonna pick him back up before the season's even over? Because you can't. I don't think that's something you're gonna be that will be able to be done within 1 episode. That's gonna have to be like a 2 episode, maybe 3, coming back up as the leader, right? To give him that confidence.
Definitely. They definitely need to kind of restore his confidence. I mean, he's gone through a lot in these first
Yep.
3 episodes, and I don't see how he's going to be able to shake that off and just be like, yeah, I'm still the team leader. I think he's got a lot of kind of inner demons that he has to kind of sort out before he can go back to being the confident leader of the X-Men. But the other thing too is that we saw that Magneto really got his ass kicked
Yep.
by Madeline Pryor, or the Goblin Queen, and a part of me wondered, like, hey, you're not wearing your helmet anymore. So that allows the Goblin Queen to get into your mind and then make you see everything that you're seeing. If he was wearing the helmet, that would have blocked out any kind of telepathic ability to get into his brains, and that would have really helped him out. So it makes me wonder if the next episode, if he's gonna be kind of contemplating on, hey, I think I need to go back to wearing this helmet. But the helmet symbolizes so much, you know, the villain in him and the darker things that he's done. On top of that, that we may see a vulnerable side of Magneto because he got pretty fucked up. And what if, Rogue is in there trying to help him out? And this is another opportunity for the two of them to become vulnerable with each other and sort of open up. And then Gambit's going to be like, yo, what the fuck?
Yeah, that. But what if this is what it takes for Magneto to become that villain in order to save the X-Men? What if he needs to do that? What if he needs to become that villain again? Put the helmet on, be the Magneto we know him as the villain in order to achieve the ultimate goal, like the common good, right?
Well, yeah, because think about it. It's like if he would have kept the helmet on, that would have kept, the Goblin Queen out of his mind. And so he would have been more in control. He would have been able
Yep.
to do more.
And maybe he's like, well, I'm not going to put myself in that vulnerable state again. Helmet's
Yeah,
going on,
that's what I'm
and
saying. But then
yeah,
that helmet symbolizes and represents all the evil things, the villain in him. And so
and
that's
maybe
going to
that's
be
what he needs
jarring
to,
for them. Like, oh shit, you're wearing that again? Like,
and maybe that's what he needs to become. Maybe
yeah,
he needs to become that version of Magneto, the villain. Yeah, it's not what he maybe wants to do, but what he feels like he has to do in
yeah.
order to achieve what the X-Men need to achieve in these future episodes.
Absolutely, guys. That's going to do it for the show. I want to thank everyone who came out here to watch X-Men 97 episode 3. We're going to be back next week watching X-Men 97 episode 4, and I am so excited to see where this show is going to go next.
Definitely.
If you go back, you'll be able to watch the pre-show and the actual episode we will be streaming on Twitch moving forward. I try to stream it on YouTube, but eventually they blocked the stream, so I'm gonna have to go back and edit that one. So moving forward, we're gonna go back to my original format, which will be a half-hour pre-show talking about the episode and what we expect, and then we'll be watching the episode on Twitch, and then we're gonna go live again for the post-show as we kind of go over what happened in this newest episode of X-Men 97. Guys, definitely check out X-Men 97. It's badass. Make sure you smash the like button and subscribe to the channel. If you haven't done so yet, make sure that you also, if you want to support the channel, that is, become a member of the channel or join us over on Patreon. I'll have those links in the description below as soon as the stream is over. But you should be able to join right below as we'll be doing this every single week watching X-Men 97. Sean, thank you for coming out here, man. This was badass. I really enjoyed this episode.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. Can't wait for next week's episode.
Absolutely. And Phil, if you want to join us next week, let me know because I'll shoot you a link. No problem. Guys, thank you for watching X-Men 97. It's pretty badass. I would check it out if I were you. And we'll catch you guys next time. Peace.